the ketogenic diet. But we're adding a twist.
Ooh, a twist. I like it.
We're taking a look at it from a Japanese perspective. We're using a Japanese YouTube series to guide our deep dive today.
I like it. Bringing in a global perspective. That's what we like to see.
Exactly. And you know what's so interesting? Right off the bat, the Japanese source material, they kind of emphasize.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't be thinking about keto as a diet.
Yeah, that's a good point. The video really emphasizes that it's more of a lifestyle change.
Okay.
It's like, instead of just like a temporary thing to lose weight, it's really like a long-term shift in how your body uses energy.
Okay, so how do you even do that? Change how your body uses energy, I mean.
Yeah, so that's where the whole ketogenic thing comes in.
Okay.
And it all boils down to these things called ketone bodies.
Ketone bodies. So
Yeah, have you heard of those before?
I have, but I'm sure our listeners would love a little refresher.
Of course. So usually your body, it uses glucose from carbs for fuel, right?
Right.
But on a ketogenic diet, because you're like severely limiting those carbs,
Okay.
your body has to adapt.
Makes sense.
And it starts using these ketone bodies instead, which come from fat.
So it's like switching from gasoline to electric power for your car? Kinda.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's not just about like cutting out bread and pasta. It's like fundamentally changing how your body operates at a cellular level.
Wow. So interesting. And what's interesting is this Japanese perspective. They really emphasize fiber,
Yes.
which isn't something you always hear about with keto.
Not at all. Like when you think keto, you're thinking like bacon and avocado, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily like, where's my fiber?
Right. So what's the significance of that? What are they saying about fiber in this Japanese approach?
So they highlight a few key points. First, they emphasize that fiber is crucial for good digestion, which, can be a bit more sluggish on a keto diet just because of the lower carb intake.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they don't stop at digestion.
Okay, there's more.
There's
about
more
it.
to it.
Yeah.
They dive deeper into how fiber actually plays a role in magnesium absorption,
Oh, wow.
which is something that can be impacted by that reduced carb intake.
Okay.
And magnesium is a big deal. It's essential for so many bodily functions. Think muscle function, nerve function, even blood sugar control. It's vital.
Wow. So we need to make sure we're getting enough of it, especially on keto, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And it doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's even more.
They also highlight how fiber supports the production of neurotransmitters,
Okay.
those crucial chemical messengers in our brain.
Right.
And this kind of ties into that bigger picture
Okay.
of keto impacting not just our physical health, but also our mental well-being, which I think we'll get into a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see how this Japanese perspective is adding like a whole other layer to how we usually think about keto. It's not just about restricting carbs. It's about understanding the importance of incorporating specific nutrients like fiber to support your body through this transition and beyond.
Yeah, you got it. It's about what you're adding in, not just what you're taking out.
I love that. Okay, so we're adding in fiber, we're getting our magnesium. What else are they recommending we add in on this Japanese keto journey?
Well, let's get into some of the unique foods this Japanese source material actually recommends to really thrive on a ketogenic diet.
Okay, let's get specific. This is where it gets good. I'm ready.
Yeah.
So we're talking about specific foods recommended in this Japanese YouTube series for a ketogenic lifestyle. What are we looking at here? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, they really emphasize traditional Japanese staples that kind of naturally lend themselves to a keto diet.
Okay, yeah.
For instance, they highlight fatty fish,
Okay.
like mackerel, sardines, and salmon.
Oh, yeah, classic.
Right. And not only are these rich in, those healthy fats that you want on keto, but they're also great sources of omega-3 fatty acids.
Right, which are so good for you.
Exactly. Known for those brain-boosting, anti-inflammatory benefits.
That's really interesting. I always think of fish as being, a healthy protein source, but I never really connected it to keto before.
Yeah.
But it makes total sense, given their emphasis on those healthy fats.
Right. And it ties into this, holistic health focus.
Okay.
They're not just trying to, tick off macronutrient boxes.
Right.
They're really thinking about the overall nutritional value and potential health benefits of each food.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've got our healthy fats and proteins from fish. What about those fiber-rich foods they were emphasizing earlier?
Right, so they actually suggest incorporating seaweeds.
Okay.
Like wakame and nori.
Seaweed on keto. That's not something you hear every day.
Right, it's like hold the avocado, pass the seaweed.
Exactly.
But it makes sense when you think about how nutrient-dense those foods are.
True.
They're packed with fiber, minerals, and antioxidants.
That's awesome. And it's so interesting how they're really drawing on these like traditional Japanese ingredients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which are already so nutrient dense and healthy.
And you don't stop there.
Okay, there's more.
They also recommend incorporating like low-carb vegetables like daikon radish, Japanese eggplant. Have you ever had those?
I've had daikon. I've never had Japanese eggplant.
Oh, so good. And shirataki noodles. They're made from konjac root.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of those.
Yeah, and these are great because they provide additional fiber, vitamins, and minerals without, disrupting that whole ketosis thing.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to kick yourself out of ketosis.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
It's like they've taken the principles of keto, right? And like seamlessly integrated them with traditional Japanese cuisine.
Yeah.
Focusing on those whole unprocessed foods that are naturally low in carbs and high in nutrients.
Exactly. It's about finding those sustainable ways to adapt this approach to your own cultural context and dietary preferences.
Totally. And that actually kind of brings us to another really important aspect that they highlight in the videos, which is the potential health benefits.
Yes.
Beyond weight loss.
Beyond weight loss, exactly.
Because, everyone knows keto can help with weight management.
Right.
But what else is there? What does this Japanese perspective, what does it reveal?
Yeah, so they dedicate a significant portion of the video to actually exploring how the ketogenic diet, especially, approached through this Japanese lens, can impact both physical and mental well-being.
Okay, I like it.
For example, they discuss how stable blood sugar levels, which you often achieve through a ketogenic diet, can lead to more balanced energy levels throughout the day.
So instead of getting that afternoon slump, you're saying you're more consistent, you're more focused.
Yeah, you're not riding that roller coaster of...
I can see why that would be appealing to people.
For sure. And they also delve into how the increased intake of healthy fats on a keto diet, especially those omega-3 fatty acids we talked about earlier, can actually support cognitive function.
Oh, wow.
And potentially protect against, age-related cognitive decline.
So it's not just about feeling better physically, but also potentially sharpening your mind.
Exactly.
Wow. Boosting that brain power.
Exactly. And they even touch upon how the anti-inflammatory properties of a ketogenic diet, coupled with, all those antioxidant-rich foods they recommend, can actually contribute to healthier skin and hair.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have to admit, I'm starting to be pretty impressed by this Japanese approach to keto.
Yeah.
It's like they've taken this concept that, can sometimes feel restrictive.
Right.
And turned it into this holistic lifestyle that really prioritizes both physical and mental well-being.
It's a very refreshing perspective for sure.
It is. But it's important to remember, though, right, that even with the most, balanced approach, there could be adjustments.
For sure.
And challenges when you're transitioning to this way of eating.
Absolutely. And
the source material does address that, right?
It does, yeah. They actually delve into a few key aspects that individuals who are new to this way of eating should really keep in mind. And one of the things they emphasize is the importance of being mindful of potential cultural differences in how keto is perceived and implemented.
Okay, that's a really interesting point to consider.
Yeah.
What kind of cultural differences are they talking about?
So for instance, in Japan, there's already a strong emphasis on consuming a variety of vegetables and seafood.
Right.
Which, aligns really well with the principles of a ketogenic diet.
That makes sense. So for someone in Japan, adopting a keto lifestyle might not feel like a huge change.
Exactly.
It might just be a natural extension of their existing dietary habits.
Exactly. However, they do acknowledge that in some cultures where processed foods and refined carbohydrates are more, prevalent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Transitioning to keto might require a more significant shift in mindset and meal planning.
Yeah, it's about being aware of your starting point. Right?
Yes.
And understanding that the journey to keto might look different depending on like your cultural background, where you're coming from,
Yeah, for sure.
and what you're currently eating, like what your current dietary norms are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this actually leads to another really crucial aspect they emphasize,
Okay.
which is the potential for variations in side effects
Okay, that's interesting.
based on cultural dietary differences.
We talked about the keto flu earlier.
Mhm.
Are they saying that even those initial side effects might be different depending on where you're from?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
For example, they point out that in cultures where like fermented foods are a big part of their diet,
Okay.
like kimchi, miso,
Right.
individuals might experience a much smoother transition to keto
Interesting.
because of all those gut health benefits,
Right. That makes sense.
which can help, mitigate digestive discomfort, which some people experience.
So someone who's already accustomed to a diet that's rich in fermented foods
Yes.
might have a totally different experience
Totally.
than someone who isn't. Interesting.
They're basically saying that like your cultural background and existing gut microbiome can play a role in how your body adapts to this dietary shift.
It's so interesting.
It's fascinating, isn't
It
it?
really is. It's like we don't often think about those kinds of things when we're thinking about diet, but it
No.
makes total sense that those things will play a role.
Absolutely.
This is so cool. I'm so glad we're doing this deep dive. I'm learning so much.
Me too. This is great.
This is so cool. Okay, so we've like really gone beyond the typical keto conversations, right?
Totally.
We're uncovering all these new layers
Yeah.
by exploring it through this Japanese lens, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's a new perspective for sure.
What other like actionable advice do they offer for people who are listening who are like, okay, this is awesome. I want to like try this out.
Right.
What can I do?
Yeah, so they emphasize starting slowly.
Okay, good advice.
Right. So instead of drastically cutting carbs overnight, they recommend like gradually reducing your intake while simultaneously incorporating, more of those healthy fats and those keto-friendly Japanese staples that we talked about.
Yeah.
This gradual approach, it can really help minimize side effects and just make that whole transition smoother.
That makes a lot of sense, easing into it rather than just doing a full 180 overnight.
Exactly.
What else? What else do they recommend?
They are big proponents of meal prepping,
Okay.
which, is already a pretty common practice in Japan.
Yeah, totally.
But they suggest like dedicating a specific time each week to prepare those keto-friendly Japanese dishes.
Okay.
Like, maybe a flavorful mackerel miso soup.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Right. Or like a really colorful seaweed salad.
Okay, yeah, I'm into it.
And having these meals ready to go can help you, just stay on track and resist those tempting carb cravings.
That's such a practical tip.
Right.
And it aligns perfectly with that whole emphasis on making keto a sustainable lifestyle, right? Not just like this quick fix.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
They also highlight the importance of mindful eating,
Okay, I like that.
which, involves slowing down, savoring each bite, and just really paying attention to your body's hunger and fullness cues.
Yeah.
They believe that this practice can really enhance the enjoyment of food
Absolutely.
and, prevent overeating even on a keto diet.
I love that they're bringing in the mindfulness element
Yeah,
because it's like, keto isn't just about what you eat.
right.
It's also about how you eat,
Exactly.
which I think sometimes gets lost in these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is so interesting. What else?
And finally, they encourage listeners to explore like traditional Japanese cooking techniques,
Okay.
like steaming, grilling, and fermenting.
Oh, fine.
These methods not only preserve the nutrients in food, but they also just make it taste better.
Right.
And they make your keto meals, more appealing and satisfying.
I love that. So it's like we've gone from exploring the science of keto, right?
Yeah.
We're uncovering these like cultural nuances, and now we have like actionable tips
I know, it's awesome.
that anyone can use.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been awesome.
It's been a masterclass in approaching dietary changes with a global perspective.
It really has.
Yeah.
So we've got all this incredible information, but how do we actually make it happen? Like, what are some tangible steps our listeners can take?
Well, they emphasize this idea of like finding parallels
Okay.
within your own culinary heritage.
Okay, yeah.
So it's about like thinking, okay, what are some traditional dishes in my culture that
Yeah.
kind of naturally align with these principles? Are there ways to incorporate more whole, unprocessed foods, healthy fats, fiber-rich vegetables? Like, how can you draw those connections?
Yeah, I love that. So it's like taking inspiration from this Japanese perspective,
Yeah.
but not feeling limited to like only eating Japanese food.
Exactly. It's about
But you're not Japanese.
Yeah, using it as a springboard.
Right, exactly.
To be like, oh, okay, what are the things in my culture that I can maybe like tweak a little bit or, bring to the forefront?
Totally.
Yeah.
And, like I'm thinking about even just in my own life, like I love Mexican food.
Yeah.
And so like finding ways to make that keto friendly
Absolutely.
by maybe swapping out like corn tortillas for lettuce wraps.
Yes.
Or, like upping the healthy fats, like maybe adding some avocado.
The best.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, good.
Okay, this has been amazing.
It's been fun, right?
It has. This is so cool. We learned about the science.
Yes.
We dove into the culture.
I love the cultural aspect. It's so interesting. And now we have like actionable takeaways.
Yeah, we can actually like use this stuff.
Exactly. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for like walking us through all of this.
Oh, my pleasure. I love talking about this stuff, so.
It's so fascinating. I feel like we could do a whole other deep dive on just like the cultural connections.
The global keto. Oh, I love it.
Right. There's so much to explore. But that's all the time we have for today. So this has been another episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you learned something new today. And until next time, keep exploring and
keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.